Again, and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters right here, baby. I am Hamilton Mike. Scratch that. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian the Ranger Retard, bringing you another solid NFL special that we told you we were going to get for you. Today we are going to stay in the hometown that we're in, NFC East Division area, and we're going to talk to a man who knows his team up, down, backwards, sideways, however you want to put it. They had a solid season last year. Let's see if they can replicate it. Today we're going to talk to JJ Campanella for the Washington Redskins. JJ, thanks for coming to the show. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Hey, thanks for coming to the show.
We only bring winners here.
So only winners. That's right.
You got the right one.
That's right. See, now we're going to have some fun today. So, Brian, stat, let's talk skins.
Washington Redskins. They were 9-7 last year, winning the NFC East, but they did lose to Green Bay in the wild card round in a home game. Offensively, they were 20th on the ground, but 11th through the air. They weren't that great defensively. They were 26th against the run and 25th against the pass. They did try to give Kirk Cousins another threat. They drafted Josh Doctson, wide receiver out of TCU, 22nd overall. They also added Vernon Davis to the roster in free agency. They did finally let go of Robert Griffin III at quarterback, and they also let go of Alfred Morris, who ended up in divisional rival Dallas Cowboys. So as mentioned, the RG3 era has ended in Washington as Griffin was released following a season where Kirk Cousins established himself as a starter. Ironically enough, again, he was taking the same drafts as RG3, cost a hell of a lot less, and he ended up being the starter a couple of years later. So Jay Gruden's team was not bad offensively, and Cousins was a big component there. Their defense was consistently poor, frankly, all season. They did win the division. It's a weak NFC East. I think everybody knows that. They did get back to the playoffs, but the game against Green Bay at home, they weren't really that competitive, frankly, throughout the game. Wasn't really addressing their defense through the draft. They went with a wide receiver. Alfred Morris did leave DC to go to Dallas. It's expected that second-year running back Matt Jones will take over the bell cow role for the Redskins, and they'll hope to expect a healthy and productive Jordan Reed, who had a great year in 2015 but has been plagued by injuries. So we're obviously going to hope to see something from him to stay healthy this year. So, JJ, a division title last year, a quarterback change that some people saw coming, some people didn't, and the RG3 era is over. Talk to me about Kirk Cousins, because I know you like that.
I enjoy it. To be honest with you, as a Redskins fan, when they drafted RG3 in the first round for everything they gave up, I told everybody I wasn't really happy with that. He was coming out of college already with an ACL injury, and they were looking for a mobile quarterback, and I really never liked RG3, because I think actually the coach noticed something there, because like you said, they picked up Kirk Cousins in the same draft just a little later, and I liked Kirk Cousins. I liked the production he had last year, and I think he's going to have another good season this year.
Talk a little about Matt Jones. He was a guy who they drafted who played a little bit last year, kind of split time with Alfred Morris, and Alfred Morris ended up leaving, going to Dallas, or who knows if he's actually going to be playing time in Dallas, but Matt Jones is a guy that a lot of fantasy players are looking at as maybe a mid-round option. He's going to be a starting running back for the Redskins. I think there's a lot of competition there. What are you expecting out of Matt Jones this year?
I'm expecting a really good season. I'm not saying he's going to be top running back of the NFL, but I am expecting a solid, maybe 5th, 6th running back in the NFL. That is what I'm hoping.
He'll be given the opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. Now, and with that said, Matt Jones, I think, is more of a scat back as compared to Alfred Morris, who was kind of a head down and just try to take out run. So that's going to be interesting, the transition there. But what I'm looking at is the wide receiving core. You got the aging Garcon, who's been productive and hasn't really skipped a beat yet. You got to look for him to go down soon. But the play of Jordan Reed is just really he's stepped up and been the man. But besides those two, who else do you see on the Redskins really stepping up and helping out the receiving core?
Well, I know a lot of people think it's funny, but I think Jackson's going to have not a killer year, but he's going to have a good year. He's not going to be a killer wide receiver, but he's going to give us that deep threat that we need.
Yep.
And that's what I hope. Staying healthy, I hope that's what
I was going to say. He's the forgotten man in Washington right now with all the injuries he's had. But
right.
Yep, he could definitely make a difference there.
You think X's and O's, too, for a guy like Jordan Reed, to have Deshaun on the outside, running down the side, that's going to open up the middle of the field.
Yep.
And that's where a guy like Jordan Reed can really hone his craft and be great, because he's not going to get the coverage that maybe Deshaun Jackson might. I think that was a big reason why he had such a big year last year. Right. Hopefully see more of that. We talk about the defense a little bit. It hasn't been good for a while, frankly.
No.
Again, you're in a division where there aren't that many defense in the NFC East is not good at all, really across the board. Is there anybody that you're excited to see this year that you think is going to take that next step and become more of a defensive leader, hopefully bring that unit as a whole up?
They picked up, I forget his name. They got the guy from,
Carolina.
thank you.
Oh,
Josh Norman.
Josh Norman. I told you, I'm bad with names.
That's fine.
That's actually my fault.
We're
I
here
didn't
for
have-
Sports Box to cover. We
I
got 'em covered.
didn't have him as an addition. That's a big addition. I forgot to mention that. I apologize.
And I have a lot of Carolina fans that, I'm happy to see him go. Well, guess what? I'm happy to see him come to my team. I think he's gonna produce for us. He's gonna help us out on the field, and he's gonna definitely. People are gonna notice him out there, and quarterbacks are gonna look out there and see him and say, "All right, you know what? Let's look at my other options."
I agree, definitely. I think the name says it all with Josh Norman. He's big cover guy, things to that effect. The only problem I see with Josh Norman is hopefully it's not what happened to Philadelphia with Byron Maxwell. Coming from the Seattle team that was dominant, here's a guy you're taking off that team who was part of that team, was a solid defense. Now he's asked to step in by himself and be the man.
Right.
Now, can Josh Norman step up and be the man by himself in Washington? I don't know. Let's see the supporting cast he has around him, because it could fall into the same situation as Carolina, and he may not have to be the total man. He might have to just anchor it a little bit. So I think in that sense, I think Josh Norman's a good move. The linebacking core and a little bit of rush off the end, I think, is what Washington needed. Do you think they addressed any of that in the draft or the free agency?
They didn't address it the way I hoped they would,
Yep.
but we'll see. Hopefully, what I'm hoping there is that who they had last year, that they're going to work with them a little bit better, and they're going to end up producing a little bit more.
The interesting thing when you talk about Josh Norman is who's going to not really be happy to see him is Odell Beckham.
You're right.
Who's not going to see him twice a year, within his division. They drafted Dotson, and I don't necessarily think that receiver was their biggest need, but I think they're probably getting ahead of Pierre Garçon probably going off into the sunset. Do you see the offense doing a lot of three receiver sets, using all three of those guys in the field at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely do. I see them, like I said, Dijon taking the deep, Reed having the middle, and then they're going to have the third guy. Where is he going to be? Who's going to cover him? Dijon's out there. They know now. A lot of teams already have Reed as, all right, he's the number one tight end. They know that already. So there's going to be a third receiver out there that I think will sneak in and surprise a lot of people.
I'll be curious too. We mentioned Vernon Davis in the open. That was a very underrated signing. They have some insurance in case Reed gets hurt again, which he has done, frankly.
Yes.
But you run some two tight end sets with some receivers on the outside. That causes some matchup problems for a lot of teams, especially again in a division that's not known for defense.
Yes.
And you talk about the defense again. We talk about Ryan Kerrigan. How could you forget him? He's a beast off the end.
Yes.
He's going to get some push. Chris Baker. You talk about some different guys in the secondary. We were really talking about D'Angelo Hall. Another guy who's
forgotten a lot.
Who's D'Angelo
Yes.
Hall? I hate to use curse words on the sports box, but you know what? He's an asshole. Anyway, he's a guy that can play the position, but really doesn't play it the right way. But that's okay because he doesn't play for us.
We're going to get an email about that.
That's all right.
We're going to get the censors, the PG range.
Use the freaking email. God forbid calls for crying out loud. But anyway, I think Washington's defense is going to be not the Achilles heel, but it's something they really got to work on because the offense can score. They got enough weapons around Cousins where he had a good year. Jordan Reed emerged, and that's another weapon for them to have to spread the ball downfield. I think their defense has to step up a little bit and kind of slow the other team down. I think that's going to help them immensely if they can do that.
But to that point too, talking from a fan's perspective of now that you have a quarterback that isn't really much of a walking injury risk. I mean, when you're watching every game and RG3 was out there, I mean, you kind of always knew he was a hit away from being out of the game. Having the consistency of Kirk Cousins, what do you think that? Obviously, as a fan, it's a good thing. But what do you think that does for the offense as a whole? That you're not. I mean, you can actually build around this guy. You're not really worried that he's a hit away from.
I think that helps. I actually think Kirk Cousins reads the defense a little bit better. He's in his mind, it's not always run first, look down the field. In his mind, it's let's look down the field, let's see what I got, and then if I have to move the ball, I'll move the ball with my feet.
And that line has given them a little bit of play to get around a
Yes.
little bit. They're not as bad as people think they are. Getting to the schedule, JJ, we were talking earlier about Murderers Row, and I'm looking at you looking at the Bengals. The
I'm
Bengals,
looking at a 5-week stretch,
the
man.
Bengals, the Vikings, Green Bay, Dallas, and the Cardinals. That's a pretty brutal stretch right there. My question is, can the Redskins, stay not only healthy? Obviously, I mean that's a big question. But the first 3 games of the year are no slouches either. You got Pittsburgh, Dallas, and the Giants off the top of the bat. What do you think of the Redskins' schedule? I don't think they were kind to them at all.
I don't think they are. I don't think they were. I do like the first half of the schedule, and then coming off their bye week. But the only good thing I like is I like the Bengals game. That's
Is it
London.
That's
a
actually in
Oh,
London.
it's in London. Oh.
Then they grab the bye week, so they get that time to relax, and then they come back and play, like you said, Murderers Row, the last
Yeah.
season of the last half of the schedule, which I think is tough. But hopefully, you know, the way I look at it is, you know, the last ones, you know, the Panthers, you don't know yet, but coming off the Super Bowl loss, you know, you got to give the Panthers a great season this year. The Eagles, now guys, we don't have to say nothing there. It's the Eagles. Carolina, Cowboys. I know you're Cowboy fans, but I think that's a win. I'm sorry to
they can
say.
easily split.
I easily say, without a doubt in my mind, I'm looking for a 10-6 season this year.
10-6 could win that division.
Yes.
It's a wide open division right
Hey,
now.
you look at the way the schedule breaks down. I mean, I think the big benefit for the Skins is they're getting the NFC North teams that are worth playing at home.
Right.
They're not going to Minnesota. They're not going to Lambeau Field to play Green Bay. But conversely, some of their out of division games, you know, they're on the road. They're going to Cincinnati. They're going to Arizona. Those are going to be very, very hard games for them to play. But the way it breaks down, those last 4 games of the year, I mean, again, you got to see what you have in the Panthers at that point, but the Eagles, the Bears, and the Giants, those are very winnable games coming out that really tough stretch.
Yes.
So they kind of got to weather the storm a little bit midway, but after that, I think they might be able to string a couple of wins together.
Yeah. So, well, that's all the time we have for the Washington Redskins today. We want to thank JJ Campanella for coming down and talking a little Redskins with us. JJ, thank you very much.
Again, guys, thank you very much.
Much
for having me.
appreciated.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep JJ's name handy so that way if something happens with the Redskins, we need to call him back, get him
Please.
on the show again. We will get him back on the show. Is that a good deal?
That's a great deal.
Absolutely, because he knows winners are coming in.
Winner, you have to be a winner.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you win.
And we're just fucking crazy enough to bring all people back. That's fine.
There's another email.
There's another email. See, yeah, he knows. He's
boy.
he's a PR guy.
See, first we were TV PG, now we might be TV 14.
See that? Look at
This
that.
is not good.
As long as it's not Telemundo. Thank you very much for watching the Sports Box. Keep an eye on. We got some good things coming.
Make sure to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Sportsbox Show. We're on Facebook. You can find us there as well. And make sure you're sharing your opinions with us. We want to make sure we're doing everything that we can to keep the viewers happy.
And I'm
Especially
not-
since Mike likes to use profanity
Yep.
on the air.
Yep, up yours. So if anybody wants to write us out there, please write in. Let us know what we're doing right, doing wrong, whatever. And now that JJ's here, remember the only opinion that matters is right here. He knows.
Yes.
He knows. We won't get it. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Don't forget to subscribe.